Personal hygiene practices in the field. In this chapter, we will learn very important personal hygiene procedures and practices that need to be followed at work to protect leafy greens from contamination. As you can see, this person has very poor personal hygiene. Poor personal hygiene can result in an employee passing disease-causing microbes or other contaminants directly to the leafy greens or to food contact surfaces. Why should you care about your personal hygiene? Good personal hygiene is essential to prevent the introduction and spread of microbes in leafy greens production environments, like the one in which we work. You must follow specific procedures in your job to prevent microbes from being introduced or spread in the growing, harvesting, and packing areas. But what exactly is personal hygiene? Personal hygiene refers to your habits of cleanliness, the care of your body, clothes, hair, hands, everything. Note that this employee is following proper hygiene practices by wearing clean clothes, gloves, proper outer garments, and a hair restraint. Even though personal hygiene, as its name indicates, is a personal matter, it stops being a personal issue when we handle food that other people will eat. In our work, we handle leafy greens that will be eaten by many people. Therefore, food safety depends on our personal hygiene, and we must be very careful about this at work. We will group personal hygiene in 3 areas. 1. Protective garments and appropriate clothing, such as aprons, arm sleeves, hair restraints, and gloves. 2. Personal practices include snacking, eating, drinking, smoking, and using the restroom. And 3. Personal health and wounds. In order to keep the product safe and clean, you must shower daily. It's important to wear clean clothes and follow the company dress code. Shorts, tank tops, or torn clothing are not acceptable work clothes. You should always wear clean closed-toe shoes or boots. Sandals and flip-flops are not allowed in production areas. In some instances, employees may have to use protective garments, such as arm sleeves and aprons, at all times during harvest operations. Always keep yourself clean and wear suitable protective garments specific to your job function. When you harvest value-added product, wear an apron and arm sleeves. Be aware that heavily soiled and/or damaged aprons and arm sleeves should be replaced. Remember, protective garments are intended to protect food products from contamination, not to protect you from the food. Follow your company's dress code to minimize the risk of leafy greens contamination. Before leaving the work area to go to the restroom, lunch, or anywhere else, put all coats, aprons, gloves, and other protective equipment, such as arm guards or plastic sleeves, hair coverings if required, in a designated area. Do not place these items on the ground. Put the items back on when returning to work, and remember to always wash your hands before returning to work. Finally, when leaving the production areas, remember to always follow the previously designated walkways in the field. Do not take shortcuts. This practice also helps to prevent leafy greens contamination. It's important to keep hair from falling into leafy greens containers and baskets. Hair can harbor bacteria and can cross-contaminate food. Also, food with hair in it is unappealing. Appropriate hair restraints, such as hairnets, ball caps, or bandanas, are usually required by your employer to keep hair from getting into the product. Keep in mind that if you wear a hat, you may still need to wear a hairnet under the hat. When wearing a hairnet, cover all your hair and ears. Always wear it correctly. If you have a beard or mustache, your company may require you to wear a beard net. The use of gloves may be mandatory for some employees. Always follow your company's policy. Here are a few things to know about your gloves. Keep your gloves clean and sanitary. Immediately replace a dirty, torn, or contaminated glove. Dispose of old gloves in the designated trash container. And do not forget to remove your gloves before entering the restroom. Keep in mind that reusable gloves must be cleaned and sanitized. Gloves are used to protect food from contamination, not to protect your hands. And remember the golden rule with glove usage. Always wash your hands before putting on your gloves. Let's move on to personal practices. We must all follow certain good daily hygiene practices in the field while harvesting in order to protect the leafy greens. When eating and drinking, we can transfer saliva from our mouths to our hands and increase the risk of contaminating food. Saliva contains millions of bad microbes. We do not want to pass them to food. Eating food, chewing gum, or drinking beverages is not allowed in areas where leafy greens are grown, handled, or packed. All workers, supervisors, and management must eat and drink only in designated areas away from equipment and unharvested product, where the risk of contaminating leafy greens with microbes is low. When going on break, remove your protective garments and follow the company policies, and remember to always wash your hands before returning to work. The rules are the same for smoking and other uses of tobacco products. Smoke only in the designated areas. Cigarette butts can fall into product and cause contamination. After smoking, do not forget to throw cigarette butts in the designated place and to wash your hands before returning to work. The following is a very sensitive but important issue. Feces are a major source of contamination. Always use the restrooms provided by the company. There should be at least one toilet facility per 20 employees, each within a quarter-mile or 5-minute walk from the work site. Some companies have a one-strike policy for employees who urinate or defecate outdoors. This topic is a little uncomfortable to talk about too, but if you don't properly throw away soiled toilet paper, it can be a major source of contamination. You must put used toilet paper in the toilet, not in the trash can or on the floor. A food safety inspector who finds soiled toilet paper on the restroom floor or in the trash can during an audit will be forced to document a major deviation. Do not bring any personal items to your working area. These might fall onto product. Personal items such as pens and pencils, backpacks, radios, CD players, headphones, cell phones, etc. are not allowed in the field or near the equipment. Before starting work, store personal items in their designated area. Now let's talk about jewelry and nails. Many of us like to wear jewelry, such as rings and watches, and many women like to wear makeup, artificial fingernails, and nail polish. But in leafy greens production areas, we have to think about the customer. Jewelry, makeup, artificial fingernails, and nail polish can fall into the product, equipment, or containers we are handling, thereby becoming physical contaminants. Do not wear any jewelry. No rings, brooches, watches, bracelets, necklaces, pins, earrings, nose rings, hairpins, combs, or such. A wedding band may be the only piece of jewelry that you may bring to work, but it must always be covered by a glove. Keep your nails short and clean. Long fingernails and artificial fingernails can collect microbes that might contaminate leafy greens when you handle them. Would you like to drink from here? Spitting is a dirty habit that can spread disease. Saliva might land unnoticed in the product, and remember that saliva contains millions of microbes. Spitting is strictly prohibited in the field. When you spit, sneeze, or cough, you can contaminate food with saliva. Do not sneeze or cough directly on the leafy greens you are harvesting or handling. What if you can't move away quickly? Should you sneeze into your arm and change your outer garments? If you sneeze and cough, you should never use your uniform as a tissue. If you use your hands to cover a sneeze, cough, or blow your nose, stop what you are doing and wash your hands right away. If you need to blow your nose, do not do it in the field or near product. Go to the appropriate area outside the field and wash your hands afterwards. Personal health and wounds is the last area of personal hygiene that we will review in this chapter. Several foodborne outbreaks have resulted from sick employees working with food products. Proper personal hygiene habits can prevent the transfer of harmful microorganisms from employees to food they are producing, but sometimes this is not enough. The Leafy Greens Food Safety Standard require the following: Workers with diarrhea or symptoms of other infectious disease are prohibited from handling fresh produce. All employees can pass bad microbes to food. Workers who have an illness like this can contaminate leafy greens and make someone who eats them sick. If you have any of the following signs or symptoms, do not work around leafy greens: diarrhea, hacking cough, some types of fever, vomiting, jaundice, sore throat with fever and/or an infected sore or wound. If you have any of these symptoms, do not touch the product or food contact surfaces. It may be appropriate to perform non-food handling duties at work, but each company is different. Stick to your company policies on this matter. The same goes for wounds and cuts. The Arizona Leafy Greens Industry Agreement states, workers with open cuts or lesions are prohibited from handling fresh produce without specific measures to prevent cross-contamination of product. If you have a cut or open sore, you should report it to your supervisor before you start working. If you cut your hand or finger while harvesting, tell your supervisor about the incident. Make sure that you're okay and stop the bleeding. However, if the cut is major or bleeding can't be stopped, seek medical attention. If the cut is not serious, wash your hands, apply a bandage, then cover it with a glove. Only use bandages provided by your supervisor. These are metal detectable. Did blood get on any product? Any product that comes in contact with blood or any other body fluid must be disposed of properly. We have finished our discussion about personal hygiene. Remember that it is your job to always follow the personal hygiene rules at work. This is key for protecting leafy greens from becoming contaminated.